a little bit on today's Handyman Corner. I'm going to do something a little more on the craft side. For those of you who don't appreciate sledgehammers and chainsaws and still have the time to sit down and write a letter to the network where they can start putting pressure on me, thank you very much. So today we're going to show you how you can make pottery using kitchen appliances. And for those of you who enjoy this kind of thing, I would suggest you pay real close attention because this is a one-time only situation, believe me. Right now, I'm making up a batch of quick-drying cement that we're going to use to make our mold. This is actually a recipe from my grandmother for sugar cookies. They're hard as nails. Oh yeah, my grandfather could never eat them until she made him a set of teeth out of the same stuff. We're going to use this stuff to make fridge magnets. Yeah, we're going to make fridge magnets in the shape of beer caps. Okay? So all we got to do is stick the beer cap down into the cookie mix and get her completely covered. Get her well in there, get her... Uh-oh. I lost it. It's got to be down in there somewhere. Oh. Okay, plan B. We're going to make a fridge magnet in the shape of a wristwatch. Okay, this is fun, isn't it, ladies? I've managed to remove the watch from the mold. Now what I do is pour olive oil into her there so that nothing will stick to it. This is virgin olive oil. Well, it's never been used for this before. Now all I gotta do is add more cement, inject it into the mold with this cake decorator. This is also called a forced piping bag. Sounds Scottish, doesn't it? All right, you lay that in there and then you just let her set for about 10 minutes. Okay, now I have my plaster watch, which is an exact replica of my original watch, including, unfortunately, the warranty. Now I'm just gonna paint that up there to make it look even more lifelike. Isn't that beautiful? It doesn't matter what time you paint it to, it'll be right twice a day. Enjoy that one, ladies? All right, and what I'm gonna do now to make it into a fridge magnet is to add a little piece of magnet on the back of her there. This is a real powerful magnet. It's made out of molybdenite or plutonium or something or other. I'm just gonna cut a little chunk off the back of that. Had a bit of a rethink on the magnet thing. I'm gonna just use a little piece of duct tape stuck on there instead. All right, ladies, we're almost finished. You can go back to your knitting anytime now, but you know, sometimes it's those last couple of steps that really make the difference, make it a professional-looking job. You know, because, yeah, we got it painted, but real pottery has that nice, smooth glaze on the outside, so what I'm gonna do is take my dishwasher here, take the intake hose, see this can of lacquer? I just stick the intake hose into the lacquer, and that'll spray a nice finish on there, a lot smoother than you can do with, say, a brush or a piece of paper towel. And now, the last step, lady. You put the watch into the toaster oven kiln and cure the glaze, because at this point, it's probably looking pretty sick. And you can use the control between light and dark to set the deepness of your colors. And it's just that easy. Oh, it's all done. Just what everybody needs, a hot watch. So remember, if the women don't find you a craftsman, they should at least find you crafty. All right, 50 cents, but that's my final offer. Fine. Anything else? Sure? You know, when you were a kid, you were a bit of a sucker for any type of sales pitch, so you end up with a whole bunch of stuff that you never use, like life jackets or a hard hat or a thigh master. Or these things you're supposed to stick on your steering wheel. Oh, sure, you tried it for a couple of weeks, but then you realized putting an anti-theft device in your car is like posting an armed guard at the city dump. So now you're stuck with all this stuff, but what do? You tried the yard sale, but unfortunately, people today are not as gullible as you were. Luckily, on Handyman Corner, we like to show useless things can have a purpose, too. That's an important message for your wife and kids. For example, this toolbox is something I never use. It's way too small for the number of tools I carry, and the toolboxes that are big enough, I can't lift. Instead, I just let my tools roll around in the back of the Possum van. It's safe as long as I don't stop too fast, and with the brakes on that unit, that's no worry. But rather than throw this toolbox into the lake, I keep it here by the fireplace Full of all the assembly directions and instruction manuals I don't have time to sit down and read, and never will. With these babies, I can start a fire in 4 different languages. Maybe you got a couple of kids who are always stealing food from each other at the dinner table. It's usually because they're sitting too close together. So you need an anti-theft device keeping them apart. And did you notice my tablecloth? It's just an old road map out of the glove compartment. It's cheap, but it looks good. And it encourages dinner conversation. Because when you look at the local towns and recreation areas, it reminds you of the hilarious stories and how you avoided arrest. And when it gets dirty, you just crumple it up, and it can hit the road. You know those smoke detectors you have in the ceiling? The ones where you haven't changed the batteries since the 80s? Well, they make dandy doorstops. And you know how the kids go out the screen door and never close it? Well, hey, that's what a thigh master's for. Now, if you're the kind of handyman I am, you probably also have a hard hat that you never use. Because protecting your head is, again, like posting an armed guard at the city dump. Instead, fill it up with water, makes a dandy bird bath. And a pair of safety goggles makes a real good bird feeder. And as for those life jackets that never leave the boathouse, wrap them around the cooler. They add to the insulation, and if you ever get hit with a flash flood, at least the beer will be safe. To me, nothing says summer like hearing a thigh master make my screen door slam while the birds are swimming in my hard hat and I enjoy a brewski lying safely in my hammock made of seat belts. This week in Handyman Corner, we're going to show you something you can do with some of those beer bottles you got lying around the garage or down the basement or whatever. I found these bottles in the cushions of the couch. Now, ordinarily, I would just throw these out or take them back for a refund, but I'm going to show you how you can make yourself a darned interesting clock. Now, the first thing you're going to need is something big and flat to hold all the mechanism for the clock. Excuse me a minute. I suggest a fridge door for the timeless look of white enamel. And you're also going to need an electric motor like this one to feed the bottles into the clock. And you're going to need a work glove. Just one. That's going to help feed the bottles as well. So you just need one, you can sell the other one to the neighbor's kid, and he can go out and be a rock star. Now, you got to soak this thing in a solution made up of mercury, lacquer, rubbing alcohol, gasoline, and paint stripper. Or as we call it, Possum Lake. There we go. Once she's dry, she's as hard as a brick. And then you stick the glove onto a 1x3 or a 2x2 or whatever size piece of wood you find when you're over at your neighbor's garage selling his kid the other glove. You know, that would make a dandy little back scratcher. Or lower, you know. Or a panhandler could use this. It could work both sides of the mall at the same time. But we're going to use it to pick up the beer bottles and to roll them into the fridge door. So what we got to do now is connect this to our electric motor. Just stick it on there. You'll have a little hole in there, and you can just drop a nail through and then bend her over. Or I guess you could use a cotter pin if you're made of money. And now what you do is line her up. So it's going to go right into the fridge door, and I think we're looking pretty good. Why don't we put a beer bottle in the glove and give her a try. There we go. Now, as soon as I plug the motor in, that should just lay that bottle in there as nice as you please. Yeah, okay, that works. That works excellent. It's just maybe just a tad fast, so we'll slow the electric motor down, which is easy to do. You just open them up and you can just start cutting windings until your wrist gets tired. Or, yeah, why don't we just hook her up to one of these household dimmers? Perfect. All right, now you may have to jimmy around with the dimmer to get the motor down to exactly 1 revolution per minute, Greenwich time. a.m. But once you do, by golly, you're all set up. And here's how she works. The glove now is going to pick up the beer bottle from the basin. That's our supply. And exactly every minute, right on the button, she brings it over, drops the beer bottle right here onto our top shelf, which is our minute shelf. And that carries on until you get 9 bottles on there. On the 10th bottle, the weight all changes, and she swings down, and 9 of the bottles drop into the eaves trough and carry right on back into the basin for a supply again. But the 10th bottle goes into the 10 minutes area, so that's now 10 minutes, and then that kind of repeats itself, and now what happens is you build up until you have, I guess, 8 on the, no 9, not 10. 10 minutes on the 10, 10 on the 10 minute, and then the end of the hours and down and around, and just, it's like clockwork. And the beauty of this machine is that whenever you want to know what time it is, you just take a look over at your fridge beer bottle clock, and you add up the minutes. Well, you got 4 there, so that's 4 minutes, plus you add up the 10s. We got 3 10s, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. So you put them all together, and that means that it's exactly time for a beer. This week in Handyman Corner, I'm going to show you something festive and decorative that you can do to your patio. You know, the patio up here at the lodge has not been looking all that great since we did that experiment to find out whether or not hydrogen is flammable. But you know, I think we can bring her right back up to snuff here by making our very own patio lanterns. And they're real easy to make and kind of fun. For starters, you have your Christmas lights, which are probably hanging up at your house all summer long anyhow. So why not double up with those? All you need is some of those plastic containers. You might find 2 or 3 in the garbage. I just picked these out of today's garbage up here at the lodge, and they are a little dirty. I would suggest you just let that mung just kind of dry on there and then pick it off with your thumbnail. I tried to clean one of them in the dishwasher. You know, there's a heater unit in those dishwashers, and that thing just shriveled up there like a... you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, what you want to do is pick out one of the containers that seems the appropriate size and shape to make a patio lantern out of. Something like that, for example. And then you want to see, well, let's see which way would we hang that. Well, I think that kind of a look's kind of like a big plastic teat on there. Just outside the sun porch door there, that would look good. Then what you want to do is you want to cut an X in the bottom. You can use a carpet knife for that. I have a carpet knife in my pocket. All right, someone didn't put the blade away before they put that in my pocket. Now what you want to do here is you want to cut an X and cut it about 2 inches. Or if you're dealing in centimeters, you want to cut enough centimeters that it's 2 inches. Okay. Okay, now we got our X, and then you just put the bulb right in there, and it's kind of a friction fit, and that's really on there. That really helps. All right, you just do that for all of them. The cutting thing, not the slapping yourself in the face thing. I'm not sure if you want to slap yourself in the face. I would help you. In fact, by golly, that smarts. All right, that's 2. It's taking a little longer than I thought. Well. Oh. All right, there's actually an easier way than the carpet killer to punch the holes in these things. This would be with a power tool. Let's see if this works a little better. I think so, yeah. Get the old bleach bottle here. Oh, we threw that one out. Another thing you can do with a power tool is you can kind of save a little bit of time. Alrighty, well, we'll start to get a few more going here, and the next step will be to take our containers and stick the Christmas lights through those. I'll get a hammer and just tap those on. And by the time I finish getting everything rigged, I think it's going to be dark enough to show you how this really looks. Now you tell me, who wouldn't want to have that hanging around their house, huh? Harold, kill the lights there a minute. Right? Look at that. Good friend, good fun, good food, and margarine tubs. You know, I think this is the greatest recycling decorator's idea since cutting tires in half, painting them white, and putting them up the sides of your driveway. Oh, well. Until next time, remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Jeez, I can't find anything. Harold, throw the lights back on, will you? Oh, geez. Thank you, Harold. Over the years, many of my best friends have been blessed with sudden good fortune. And golly, did they ever think to share any of it with me? Well, now the table is turned. Literally. I recently became the owner of a number of highway signs as a result of a heavy windstorm and my own chainsaw. And what did I do with this good fortune? How about a dining room table for people on the go? Or a tray for serving drinks to people who are getting a little carried away? Or what if you like to sit outside? Or maybe the people in your family force you to sit outside? Well, how about a highway sign Muskoka chair? But what if you're not handy? What do you do then? Kill yourself, I guess. I'm just kidding you. No, you can just use the signs just the way they are. Put one on the bathroom. Heck, put one in the bathroom. And you can put one on the bedroom door and a whole bunch more inside. That last one glows in the dark. Oh, look, it's Harold's room. Well, this week now on Handyman Corner, I thought what I might do is take old man Sedgwick's coffee table and restore it to its original condition. Well, no, maybe not original condition, but at least the condition it was in before Moose Thompson sat on it. See, the problem here is the legs are way too spindly on this thing, as they are on old man Sedgwick. So what I'm gonna do now is kind of fix that up. I guess a lot of people would throw that right out, but hey, I'm not a lot of people. I'm barely me. So what I'm gonna do is turn a whole new set of legs for that coffee table with this electric lathe right here. The electric lathe, great thing for making round stuff like candlestick holders, swimming pools, hats. You just take the wood stock you're gonna work with there. Well, not wood stock really. Well, there's a remember. Oh, and you just fire that in there, just like that, tighten her down. And you take one of these tools like this, and you just shave off anything that isn't round. Sort of like what you do in the shower in the morning. All right? Plug her in, fire her up. Okay, did I mention to make sure that you center the wood in the lathe? Now you want to mark the center of each end of the piece of wood using the most accurate measuring device in the handyman's repertoire. Your eye. So I'm thinking, hey, if we're gonna make round things out of a piece of wood, why not start with a round piece of wood? Surprised you didn't figure that out earlier. Let's have a serious moment now, though, about safety. Protection for yourself is a very powerful industrial tool here. I would recommend you get yourself high-quality safety helmet, some sort of an eye shield, eye protection and safety goggle type of unit, and extra thick industrial strength gloves. All of these things are important. This is your health at stake here. And there was one other thing. Can't remember. I guess it wasn't important. All right, let's get lathing. Oh, tools are over there. Yeah, that was the other thing I forgot to mention. Don't wear loose clothing. Okay, let's make table legs. Wrong tool. And look at that. You've made legs for your table using your lathe. Just that simple. So remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Oh boy. Have you reached that point in your life when you realize that you're not all that special? Or more importantly, has your wife realized it? Well, today I'm going to show you how to get the attention and respect of your neighbors. Unless, of course, they've met you, but hey, that's not my fault. You know when you look at pictures of fancy houses in these magazines, and take a look at your own house, you notice the difference? I'm not talking about the nice trees and the no tarps on the roof and the lack of K-car turned upside down on the front lawn. I'm talking about that fancy gingerbread trim they have on the eaves of some of the nice looking houses. Wouldn't your house look good with that kind of trim on it? Oh, I know what you're thinking. Where am I going to get the money to do that? Or how am I going to pull that one off? Or, hey, wait a sec, I'm not even married. Well, you know, like so many things in life, a lot of time the answer's right in your own backyard. Chances are you got a bunch of toys that you don't use anymore because your kids have grown up and gone. Or maybe your grandfather charged them all on your Visa card before you had him picked up. Well, I got some great news for you, because this isn't just junk lying around your yard any longer. In about one coat of paint from now, it's going to be your beautifully decorative gingerbread trim. Okay, now, if you use that pinning technique, you may get a little bit of overspray there. You'll never even see that once the snow flies. Now you just take all your decorative items around to the front lawn. Your sconces, your finicules, your bric-a-brac, whatever. Then you just attach everything to your eaves in an artistic yet subtly symmetric pattern. Oh yeah, one other rule. Inflatable toys don't like staple guns. And there we go. Bring the ladder down so we can get a better look. Oh. Yeah, that's got it. Okay, now what did that cost us, eh? A gallon of paint, a back lawn, a couple of muscle spasms. Well worth it. So remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Speaking of which, this project will make your wife feel pretty darn special. The neighbors are really gonna notice you now. This week on Handyman Corner, we're going to show you some things you can do with all of those oil drums that you have lying around your house, like everybody does. Now, we're not too bad here up the lodge because we can use them for flotation for the dock, or maybe make a couple of ashtrays out of them, you know, but maybe some of you want to be more stylish because you're actually concerned with what other people think. So I suggest you do something like this. You take a cold chisel and a persuader of some kind, and you just drive a hole in the lid of the drum. What you have there is just an ideal piggy bank for the youngsters. That's enough. What you can do there, too, is just weld a hunk of chain on here and just hang it over the little fellow's neck, and he can go out and Halloween collect for UNICEF. And once she gets filled up, of course, you can drop her on her side, and you can use it to roll the lawn. Or you can just knock the lid off the thing, and there's your college education paid for. If that's the way you care to spend your money. And another thing you can do is maybe get an old chisel or a screwdriver and pry the lid off. Or you could use whatever you got in your pockets, you know, your car keys or a bottle opener or a business card or whatever. It just comes off as easy as pie, too. Okay, once you've done that, you can use the lid as a serving tray, and you cover it all with crackers. And then you fill your oil drum with pate. Or if you're on a budget, just use peanut butter with anchovies in it. Yes, take your cracker, scoop into the, oh boy. So, that looks great, doesn't it? Okay, maybe we should rinse the oil out of there first. But if you're having a party and you got 3,000 guests or so coming, I'm telling you, an oil drum full of pate is going to just serve everybody. You're going to run out of crackers way before you run out of pate. And the beauty of it is with this system that when the party's over, just pop the lid back on there and run a bead of silicone caulking around the outside, and that'll keep indefinitely without refrigeration. We've had this particular pate since I was in the 40s, I think. And if you're good with a cutting torch, you know, you can really go to town on these units. You know, you can cut up the oil drums into all kinds of different things. Love seat, or patio furniture, or some kind of a decorative awning. There's all kinds of things you can do. You know, another idea is a bird feeding station. You know, like one of these, you're talking about a 50-gallon bird feeding station. You only have to fill that sucker once a year. Okay, so there you got yourself a dandy bird feeder. And, you know, just as a joke, you can fill that thing up with oat bran. The birds will eat that, and they'll wish they'd gone south, but you're going to have the best lawn on the street. And here's something else you can do with an oil drum. You can build yourself a doorbell that you can hear from any room in the house. What you do is you just get a pretty heavy little persuader such as this, and you hang it from one of your rafters or the doorknob of your bedroom, whatever. And you have that hanging down, and you line it up with an oil drum, and then you put the hammer over the door, and then when anyone arrives, swings in, and boy, you can really hear it. I'll show you how it works. This is going to be the sound you're going to hear when your guests arrive. Okay, you got to watch for the type of knot that you use on that. Okay, for this next thing now, you're going to need a picnic table. Now, you can buy a picnic table, or you can build your own, or if you have a decent chain cutter, you can get one free from a conservation area. And another thing you're going to need is a couple of these steel rods. These are what they call reinforcing rods they use for the construction crews, but you know, you can horse them right out of the concrete if you get there before it sets. That's how I learned all my Italian swear words. And the next thing you're going to need is what we call a hole saw. And use that, you're going to punch some holes in each end of the oil drums and also into the picnic table. So what you have is an industrial strength T-wagon. You're right, Harold. You know, it does look like Fred Flintstone's car. So anyway, we put our pate up here. And we're all set to go serve our guests. So remember, until next time, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Yabba dabba doo.